Can a penny be turned into gold? In this lab, we will attempt to turn pre-1982 pennies into gold. We will try to transform copper into gold. A pre-1982 penny was used because in 1982 and before, pennies were mostly made of copper. Can it be done? In this experiment, we used a beaker, 1 penny per person, sodium hydroxide solution, a hot plate, and Mozzie zinc. We wore our goggles throughout the whole experiment, and we were especially careful when dealing with sodium hydroxide, which is highly concentrated and will burn through skin and eyes. From the early 1960s through the 1970s and the early 1980s, brass cents were used, which were mostly made up of copper and less zinc. First, we cleaned the pennies by putting them in a beaker with 3 millimeters of vinegar and salt solution. We let them sit for a couple of minutes until they turned noticeably vibrant.
While the pennies were sitting, we proceeded by mixing chemicals including 1 piece of Mozzie zinc in a small beaker and added 10 milliliters of 3M sodium hydroxide. The mixture was then heated with a hot plate until it boiled.
You have to remove the penny and rinse it. When the mixture was boiling, I put in the pennies and mixed it with the tongs and continuously turned the pennies. After a few minutes, I noticed the pennies began to turn gray in color.
Once the pennies were beginning to turn gray, we took them out of the zinc and we put them in a beaker full of water. And after we took them out, we patted the pennies dry, and then we used the tongs. We put each penny over the flame we put the pennies over the flame from the Bunsen burner repeatedly for 3 seconds on each side. We noticed that the pennies began to turn a gold color. We then took out the pennies and we put them back in the water.
See? That one we left it on too long. That one?
Oh, yeah.
And then if you see this side, some of them have copper color, like the one all the way in the corner. But this one's good, the one all the way to the
We realized by the end of the lab that we have created an alloy. We mixed zinc with copper and made brass, which only appears gold. What we really did was combine elements into compounds through chemical reactions. The zinc dissolved in the sodium hydroxide and attached to the surface of the penny. The fire then melted the zinc along with the copper and brass is created. If the penny were to be cut in half, you would see inside alloy of zinc surrounded by brass. Ultimately, this lab is important because we learned that gold, a valuable metal, cannot be created, and we acknowledge that others will create gold, which is really brass. CSI deals with fake money, and this lab is a direct experiment that introduces how things such as the mass of a metal determines its true identity. Also, what it's worth, a pre-1982 penny today is worth approximately 2 pennies.